Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. So it's been a little while since I've done a video and a lot has happened in the last week. So I just wanted to do one quick video here and sort of recap the events of the last week and give some of my thoughts and sort of the state of where I see things right now. So the last week has been pretty intense. We've had everything from more and more Elon Musk controversial tweets, even promoting rocket.
Not in front of the kids.
Oh, sorry.
So just to get that one out of the way first, honestly, like most people, I didn't even know what to think anymore. And part of me is beginning to wonder if perhaps his real true intent is to disencourage people from taking him seriously. I mean, it's hard to believe that anybody could act like this and still expect to be taken seriously. I actually think he's trying to discourage people from doing that. But even if he isn't, it is the net result of what we're witnessing now. More and more, his tweets are having less and less impact on these markets. And in the end, that is a very good thing, whether he's doing it on purpose or not. And for him, I do think that it all stems from the fact that you look at his personality, you look at what he's revealed as far as his struggles with being on the spectrum. For a very long time, Elon Musk has been obsessed with memes. That's why they call him the meme lord. Up until now, it was all just good fun and games. But then Dogecoin comes along and it's the ultimate meme. So of course he would be attracted to it. But now it's gone from just fun and games to people's livelihood. And unfortunately, somehow, Bitcoin gets thrown into the mix of all of this. But he's still the same guy he was before. He just wants to have fun with these memes. And suddenly, people attach a great deal of importance to that behavior. I really don't think this is anything different than what we've seen before from him. It just has a very different impact now. And he seems to be struggling with this drawing the line and being able to maybe withdraw from that. But it is an obsession. And people on the spectrum tend to obsess. That is also what makes him capable of the things he's been able to do, the things he's been able to accomplish. So it's not exactly something he can just switch off. Very hard for someone like him to do that. And so, again, I don't know if his actions are deliberate or uncontrolled, but the net result in the end is going to be the same. People will stop taking him seriously, and it cannot happen soon enough. But also following that, we all saw the message from Anonymous, or supposedly from Anonymous. There are suggestions out there that it's most likely not actually from Anonymous, but if it indeed was, Anonymous is not known for making idle threats. I did have a look into this, and the channel that this video was posted to doesn't actually have, well, there's only 182,000 subscribers. If we have a look at the channel itself, there's only 3 videos. Checking the About section, we can see that this was created in 2015. There is another anonymous YouTube channel, and this one with over 3.5 million subscribers, titled Anonymous Official. So it's more likely this is the official anonymous YouTube channel, but honestly, I didn't even know they had a YouTube channel. But regardless, if you had listened to that anonymous threat, it is riddled with a whole lot of inaccuracies, and it does seem that Elon Musk doesn't seem to be taking it very serious, suggesting it is not even a good fake anonymous. So he doesn't seem to be worried about it. But moving past that, we also had the long-awaited Bitcoin conference in Miami. I really wanted to be able to go to this, but being in Canada, the borders between Canada and the United States are still closed and restricted for non-essential travel. Attempting to go would have made things rather difficult for me, so I chose not to. But I did manage to watch a majority of the highlights from the 2 days with the various speakers. A lot of good information. And of course, by now, we all know this happened.
I believe Bitcoin could be one of these ideas. That is why next week, I will send to Congress a bill that will make Bitcoin a legal tender in El Salvador. In the short term, this will generate jobs and help provide financial inclusion to thousands outside the formal economy. And in the medium and long term, we hope that this small decision can help us push Canadians at least a tiny bit into the right direction.
Now, if you haven't seen the entire Jack Mallers talk, I highly recommend it. I'll leave a link for it down in the description below. It was a very emotional presentation. You can see that he has a very deep emotional connection to the work that he's doing in places like El Salvador. He truly does believe that Bitcoin can be the vehicle that sets these people free and allow them to take control over their own financial futures. And I happen to agree with him. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here either. And as emotional and uplifting as moments like that were, we also had moments like this.
Yeah! We're not selling! We're not selling! Elon! Elon!
Say what you will, but you can't say Bitcoin is boring. But of course, in between those two things, there was a lot of good information that came out of this conference. And I'm going to dedicate a different video where I'll be reviewing the highlights of the Bitcoin mining panel with Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful himself, and some of the CEOs from our favorite mining companies. In this case, Hive, Mara, and Riot. And then a couple days ago, we suffered the FUD that supposedly the U.S. Justice Department hacked Bitcoin. Or at least this was how many in the news media reported it.
What do you think the fallout, to use an overused word, of this episode is going to be for cryptocurrencies generally and for Bitcoin in particular if law enforcement agencies or intelligence agencies can effectively crack the code?
Now, anyone who actually understands anything about Bitcoin and how these wallets are secured knows that did not happen. However they gained access to this wallet, they did so using centralized methods. Or these hackers were not as clever as many people were led to believe. Most likely, those funds that the Department of Justice recovered were probably confiscated from an exchange that the U.S. had jurisdiction over. Of course, they're not disclosing this information. I'm not sure if they ever will, but they definitely did not get it from somebody's hardware wallet. But nonetheless, again, we still have a lot of new people in this space who don't understand these events when they surface, and we sell off. What was interesting is we found support and formed a third test, a triple bottom, just above $30,000 yet again. The last couple days, we've seen a very strong recovery in the price. From the bottom, we've already recovered over 21% to the peak. And that's just in 2 days. That is a very strong move. Zooming out, we do see, at least for the time being, we've run up against this lower trend, this upper trend line, that's this descending trend line that we've been under for ever since we hit the bottom back in mid-May. So I'm not surprised to see that we're consolidating here for a period of time. Probably, most likely, we do move lower for at least a short period of time. But ultimately, this is a very strong signal. What's also good to see here is we have an increase in volume on the daily chart, as well as forming higher highs and higher lows on the RSI. Another interesting point that I came across is if you actually take a look and alter your, if you're using any charting software, change your scale to a logarithmic scale. And if you draw a line from the bottom that we formed back in 2020, you can see we're forming a pretty strong layer of resistance against this line where we are right now. Now, this only works on a logarithmic scale. If you were to take that and go back to a regular scale, it doesn't do much of anything. But on a log scale, it paints a very different picture. And you can do a similar thing back in the last bull cycle. starting from the beginning of that bull market, you can see that we had retested that line 1, 2, 3, 4 times before pulling away from it. So for at least the time being, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this trend line. If we can't manage to stay above it, then that's when I might start to get a little bit more worried. But as far as I'm concerned, do I think that this was the end of this cycle's bull run? No. No, I do not think so. I think that enough has changed in this market that anyone who thinks it's going to behave exactly as it did in the past is going to be surprised. This market is maturing. Whether we like it or not, the institutions are here. They don't behave the way we thought they might. They're not all Michael Saylor who seem to be on our side. They play by their own set of rules. But adoption is adoption. And while the rules and models that we've grown accustomed to may not necessarily apply the same way, one thing will always work: investing long term. Now, don't get me wrong. Like anybody else, I wish like hell I had sold at the top of this market and been able to take advantage of this drawdown. This definitely has shifted my mindset ever so slightly. But on the other hand, had I not been a hardcore holder the whole way up, I probably would have sold long before we reached those mid double-digit figures. Conventional wisdom would have suggested that I sell a lot of these shares long before we ever reached there. Mara at like $6 would have been where most people would have expected to see us draw down significantly. That was a former high that we had made. And when something goes from 50 cents to $6, nobody would blame you for selling. But I held on. People call it easy money, but it's really not that easy to hold on. It's a very hard thing to do. And inevitably, you got to suffer through what we just went through. It comes with the territory. Now, having said that, now that I have come most of that way, I don't intend to repeat the exact same mistake. I'm going to learn to take some profit and start to diversify. And over the rest of this year, and certainly the years to follow, I'm going to be looking to do exactly that as time goes on. But as for right now, I am as convinced as ever that this is the best place to be. Views may be down on the channel. I know a lot of people lost a lot of money, and maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. I'll still be here. That's all for this one. Now let's get back to empire building.